So good evening, and then thank you for joining today. And I guess again, as usual, we will start with a short breathing meditation exercise to quiet our mind, watching the breath mindfully for a few moments. Then we can try to generate a good intention by thinking, may us coming here together to listen, to engage in discussion, reflection, contemplations. May all of this become cause and conditions to have strong imprint in our mind stream, to have a correct realizations, understanding of the emptiness. And may it be cause and conditions to cultivate realization or correct understanding of the emptiness. And wisdom realizing emptiness that is supported by the Bodhicitta mind. May we be able to progress on the path, Bodhisattva path, and to be more and more benefit to more and more sentient beings as we progress on the path. And eventually may we be able to achieve fully enlightened state, the most perfect and complete state, and become source of happiness for each and every sentient beings, each moment. And may we be able to continue to study and practice until we have the realizations. Okay, so again, yeah, I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, in the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Shodang Zogi Sonam La Chanchu Bado Dane Kazu Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonam Dola Benje Sangye Dobaraj Sangye Shodang Zogi Sonam La Chanchu Bado Dane Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonam Dola Benje Sangye Dobaraj. So we are on in terms of the stage of the path. We are on the practice of the 6 parameter, and within the 6 parameter, we are on the last parameter, the wisdom realizing the emptiness. And within that, there is a practice meditations on, on space like emptiness and illusion like emptiness. And last week we completed the first one, in terms of LC 106, and meditation on space like emptiness. So we discussed a little bit on that, and again, as I mentioned last week, it is mentioned, emptiness is not easy concept to understand, so again, it requires a lot of studying, hearing, listening, and then reading, reflecting, contemplating. It requires as well as a lot of merit. Unlike like some other subjects, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, patience, those is hard to practice, but it is not difficult to understand the intellectually to understand what those means. The difficulty is actually applying and practicing. That is where the challenges comes. But in terms of understanding intellectually, they are not so difficult. But when it comes to emptiness, even understanding intellectually correctly is not so easy, Therefore, even in terms of, bodhisattvas of vows, where they says, you shouldn't teach emptiness for those who are not ripened, those who are not ready. That just show in the vows, they never say don't teach about compassion, bodhicitta. If you teach on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, patience, you are not breaking the vows, But because emptiness is such a difficult topic, people can have it, when you try to explain, they will not be able to understand, and they could have misunderstanding, and through that kind of misunderstanding, they can fall into the nihilisms, and so that is, even from that we understand that, how not easy it is, and even among different Buddhist school of thoughts, the 4 tenets, they don't have, differences when it comes to loving kindness, compassion, patience, the practice of moral discipline, meditative concentration, all of that. But when it comes to the emptiness, that is where they have differences. There are different interpretation and different understanding of what emptiness means. And some of those founders or some of those teachers or master of those different school of thoughts, they are some of the greatest bright, intelligent mind. So even some of them, even they misunderstand true meaning of emptiness. So that is, we shouldn't be discouraged. We shouldn't be discouraged because we couldn't understand the concept quickly, easily. It's crucial, but it is not easy. And even one of the great Indian masters, Aryadeva, main disciple of Nagarjuna, in his 400 stanzas or verses or middle way, where he says, those who do not have enough merit, they will not even hear the teaching on emptiness. Forget about, understanding. Even to be able to receive teaching on emptiness, even just to hear the teaching on emptiness, you need a lot of merit. He explained that you need a lot of merit. Because it's such teaching, the teaching on emptiness is such that even when you have doubt about, even when you have some doubt on emptiness, it started to shake the very root of the samsara. Of course, if you have correct understanding, not only it will shake, but even just when you have doubt. And I find that quite interesting. I kind of find that quite interesting because, if you really try to analyze this, it is, at the moment, our ignorance rule our minds and ourselves, without any challenge, without any challenge. It's very comfortable. Nobody challenged the ignorance. It's feeling very safe and comfortable. But when you started to have doubt, whether things are inherently existing or not, whether things exist independently or not, whether things exist truly or not, when you started to doubt, the ignorance become a little bit kind of shaky. Now someone is standing up for that ignorance. Something that has never been stand up for that, because always believe what it says and just follow it. But even just having a doubt, now it is saying, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, what the ignorance belief grabs or apprehend. And so even just having that doubt, asking the questions with that doubt, make that ignorance shaky and uncomfortable. And because it's the very root of the samsara, when you make that, the very root of samsara kind of shaky and uncomfortable, then even the samsara become more shaky, and because at the moment is very comfortable, extremely comfortable. And so that is such, forget about the total understanding of it, correct understanding, realization, even just and so that is what, Aryadeva explained in his writing. And again, when you really reflect on that, it is true. It is true, If there is a leader who has never been cautioned, no one dare to caution, because they all follow everything the leader says. The leader will feel very relaxed, very comfortable, very secure. But the moment one of the citizens or people started to caution about some of the decisions of the leadership, then the leader will become a little bit kind of, become insecure, become fearful, shaky, all of that, because now someone is cautioning. Now someone is starting to caution. Someone is starting to stand up and cautioning that. And that is what it is at the moment. Ignorance, like that leadership, who's never cautioned. But when you even just having a doubt, when you started to rest the cautions, that is when it make that ignorance kind of nervous. And by making the ignorant nervous, the root of the very root of the samsara in being nervous, shaky, then of course the samsara that's based on that also become kind of nervous and shaky. So yeah, that Aryadeva, that's that verses I find kind of very inspiring in a way. And once we have a realizations of emptiness, once we have the realization of emptiness, then it is like pouring big amount of cold water on the boiling water, on boiling water. Once you pour the big amount of cold water on the boiling water, then it becomes very still. It becomes very still, cool and still. Same way, when you have realization in emptiness, then our mind becomes still, more stable, still, and more clarity. It's more clarity in our mind. It helps us to become more stable and clarity. It cool down all the boiling of all these negative emotions. Mm. And then hardly any. Once you have realization of emptiness, hardly any afflictive emotion or delusion arises. Hardly any delusions arises. Even when they do arises, it's not intense, it's not strong, and it does not last for long. I had one friend, that I've known for a while. I first met in Kopan when he first came when he was introduced to the Buddhism, and so anyway, over the time, he studied, practiced, and really dedicated, devoted himself to really. Um, um, and he was sharing one of his one time he came to see me and wanted to discuss about some of his experience and the practice, and he was sharing about experience of him. He was meditating on emptiness, and he has been meditating on emptiness, the selflessness of the person, emptiness of the self, and for a long time. And then one day, he had that kind of, while he was meditating on the emptiness of the self, the person, himself. Um, because anyway, And so he started to feel fear, a little bit kind of fear arises because, it's kind of taking away all your, being almost like naked, taking everything away, through that you strongly identify with yourself, all that is kind of ripped up, that all is kind of taken, so started to feel kind of little fear. And then, once he realized that, be aware of that fear, he started to meditate on the emptiness of the fear itself. And slowly the fear also dissolved. And then he has a very, profound experience, in that moment, for a short period. And then after that, after he has that experience, for 6 months, the effect of that experience, of very short experience of that, I think it's the glimpse of, it's not the actual realization, but it's the glimpse of the experience, and that has effect on him. For 6 months, he said, nothing really bothered him, people's behavior, actions, whatever things are happening, it didn't really bother him. He was able to keep his mind very peaceful, still, calm, without being affected by them. And slowly, then it started to affect, slowly. So he wanted to discuss about that as well. Then, normally. So again, what I'm trying to say, even when you had just glimpse of that, that wasn't a realization, but it's a glimpse of realization. It's the taste. It's just the taste of that. And even with that small experience, the effect that has for such a long time, it's just, you know, mm, and, some of the practitioners, who have had a realizations, master realization, what they share, their experiences, hardly any delusion arises once they have those realizations. Hardly any delusion arises. And even if they do arise sometime, is very short, and it is very, not intense, And so, that will be great and wonderful, to be able to have that experience, And once we have that, people's response, reactions, people's, behavior, attitude, actions, or whatever situations you encounter, those will not affect you in a negative way at all, that will not disturb your mind, easily. It will not disturb your mind easily. It will not, disturb most time. And even the disturb it only for a very short period. And you can easily kind of let it go very soon, without holding on them, So that is, and so that is why the wisdom relies on the right view, or the emptiness is so crucial to free from all the delusions, free from all the delusions. Mm. And therefore, that being the case, we should try all our best, trying to understand, whether we are successful or not, but trying, not giving up from studying, learning, and trying to continue to understand, and not give up, continue to read, continue to study, continue to create merit, so that we can have a better condition to understand better and to have realizations. So it is very important. And that is one, sometimes I always think, I've noticed in the recent years, His Holiness, whenever he give a teachings, even sometime, when he is supposed to be a very, normal public talks, he will go deep in emptiness. With most people will get lost, There will be only few people who might be able to understand, but even when it comes, I've noticed that, and the reason is, because it is so crucial, it's so important, crucial. Even you don't understand, just to have the imprint is so important. Just to have the imprint, so they can, even they don't understand, at least they hear it. At least there is some imprint in them, so that can help them in the futures to have understanding, and that is all what I can come up, because sometimes the topic of the talk is something supposed to be very very what do you call, very not so depth in emptiness and such a difficult topic. But I've noticed he's always go very in those emptiness, very depth, and a lot of time those audience are not even a Buddhist, But I've also noticed that His Holiness putting so much emphasis on that emptiness in recent times, because he understands with his own experience, because that is the key. That is the key to, free from your own delusions. That's the key to free from your own delusions. And also, for many, it is also key to develop strong compassion and strong bodhicitta mind. And so anyway, so because of that, I just wanted to kind of to talk on that, because sometimes I feel like people, when it comes to the emptiness, sometimes people just give up. It's too difficult for me, and so they don't want to kind of give so much time to trying to understand it, because they already feel, oh, I cannot get it, I might not be able to get it, and I cannot get it, that kind of attitude. And so therefore, anyway, so that and so next one is like the illusion, like emptiness, during the post meditative sessions. And that if you go to the LC 106.7, so there it says illusion like practice of emptiness during the post meditations. I seek your blessing to perfect the samadhi on illusions by realizing how outer and inner phenomena, like true existence but still appear like illusions, a dream or moon image on a still lake. So someone who has realizations of emptiness, and when they are in deep meditations, meditative equipoise, when they are in deep meditations, and when they are in deep meditation on space like emptiness, there's nothing appear to their mind in that meditation state except the emptiness itself. That is the only objects in their mind. Only the emptiness is the object of their mind. The meditations, no other objects appear to that mind. Everything dissolves. All the conventional phenomena dissolve and doesn't appear to that mind. So that is why, like in Heart Sutra, where it says, in emptiness, there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no conventional, all, no eye, no ear, no nose, everything's no, because when you are in deep meditations, like space, like deep meditation on emptiness, all these objects dissolve in that mind. Nothing appear except that emptiness. And when you come out of that meditative state, you have to come out of that meditative state, because you can't be in that meditation all the time. You cannot, otherwise you will not be able to function, you have to be in that. So you have to come out of, unlike if it's a Buddha, if you are fully enlightened, then you can do, while you are in that deep meditation, meditative equipoise, at the same time, you can function the post-meditative activities. While you're in deep meditation, you can still speak with others. While you're in that deep meditations, meditative equipoise, you can still help others. You can still do all other activities. But for those, even the bodhisattvas and arhat, even those great enlightened, not fully enlightened, but even most enlightened bodhisattvas and arhat, they cannot function those two things together. When they are in that deep meditative concentrations, they cannot function other activities. When they are in that other activities, they cannot be in that deep meditative equipoise. And so that is why there is meditative equipoise sessions and post-meditation sessions. That is why there's two sessions. When you become fully enlightened, there's no two sessions. You can function both of them simultaneously. And for the bodhisattvas, in order to achieve enlightenment, they need to meditate on the emptiness, the wisdom. At the same time, they have to accumulate merit. And so in order to accumulate merit, then engage in other practices. So they have to come out of that meditative equipoise to function other activities and practices. And so when you come out of that meditative equipoise, then for those who have direct realization emptiness, then of course, then, you encounter the objects, different objects. When you look with your eyes, then you encounter the visuals, the shape, colors. Your ear hears, sounds, smells, orders. Your mouth consciousness, taste. Your body feels. Your consciousness, your mind function in different ways with different objects. So all this, you come in contact with them, those objects, once you are out of that meditative equipoise. You come in contact with the world, external, internal world. And when you encounter those objects, because of your deep meditations, those objects appear to your mind, consciousness, different consciousness, but they appear more like a dream state, more like an illusion state, naturally, because of your that deep meditations. So everything's appear at the moment when we don't have realization of that. It appear all objects that we come in contact appear as solid, concrete, real. But when you are realization emptiness, and then when you come out of that meditative, then everything appears, while the object appear, but they appear, less real, less concrete, less solid, but more like an illusion, more like a dream state, that appears. There's that appearance, So then, it's easy to understand why all phenomena are like an illusion, like a dream, like an image of the moon in the lake, or the image of your face in the mirror, or like a mirage, or like a, echo, mm, it appears more naturally. And because it appears naturally that way, then you have less grasping to them. Even something appears pleasantly, even though there is an appearance of pleasant objects, but it is more like illusions, and so there you have less grasping and less attachment to it. Even though there is an unpleasant appearance of the objects, but the way it appears, that unpleasantness is more like illusions, more like a dream, instead of more like real and concrete. And because of that, you have less stronger aversion, or you don't have aversion towards that. And so that is how, so then they see all the object they encounter as an illusion, as like a dream, like a illusion, and their functions, in the virtues, by seeing illusion like the practitioner engaging like illusions of that practice in relation to the object, which is like illusion like object or dream like objects. And so that is how they. But for us, those who doesn't have realization or emptiness directly, and things will not appear like that, by naturally like illusions. His Holiness the Lama was sharing, one time he was in Ladakh, India. He used to go there in every summer, and to teach and also do his kind of retreat, and he mentioned, one morning he wake up and then, everything's feel like illusions. Everything just appear like illusions. That is what experience of that, it just appear naturally, not by kind of reminding yourself it is like an illusion, but it just naturally appear, that kind of appearance because of your realizations, but for those us who don't have a realization of emptiness, then we have to remind, because it doesn't appear naturally. So we have to practice and train our mind to remind ourselves that things are like illusions. Things are like a dream. Things are like the image in the lake or mirror, So we have to remind ourselves and train ourselves. And so when we remind ourselves through that kind of reminder, and and once through that reminder, you try to understand that even though they appear as truly or inherently as a real solidly, but that's not how that thing exists, even though that is how it appears, but that is not how thing really exists. So we have to remind ourselves, that is what appeared to my mind now, but that is not how the thing is. This is just a appearance, is just a deception. Appearance is just a deception. That is not how the thing really exists, or and so therefore, even though things does not exist inherently truly, but because it appeared to my mind inherently, therefore this is like an illusion. This is like a dream. This is like a image of the moon in the lake. So we try to train ourselves by reminding of that all the time, all the time, all the time. When you have strong emotions, whatever strong emotions, whatever emotion it can be fear, anxiety, strong anger, strong frustration, impatience, strong desire, jealousy, whatever, any kind of strong negative emotions, whatever have been. When we have that in that moment of strong emotions, the feeling, the emotion feels so strong, so real. That is how we feel. We feel that emotion so real and so strong and so real, so concrete, as though it feel like as though you can kind of hold on that feeling, you can grasp on that feeling. That's how strong and concrete that we feel, so real about it, and then again reminding ourselves, even though it feels so real, even though it feels so concrete, but that is not how really the things, that feeling exist. That is how it appeared to me at the moment. That is how I feel it, but that is not exactly how the feeling itself exists. It do not exist as real as it appears, as concrete and solid, and as and therefore this feeling is also just like a dream state. It's just like a feeling in a dream. It's just like a feeling of the dream. It's just like a feeling of the illusions. It's just like a feeling of the reflections. So again, reminding ourselves of that. Same thing, whenever certain objects make us be very upset and angry, or lead us to be any of those emotions, fearful and whatever. And we have those emotions because our mind come into contact with certain objects, and that certain objects, feel so real to us, whether it's object of anger, or the object of fear, whatever, that object feels so real, and then we believe as without any cautioning, as we believe as it appears, and on the basis of that, then we have more stronger emotions of that. Then I can remind in the object that I'm fearful about, the object that I'm angry about, yeah, the object or whatever actions, behavior that make us angry. They again, even though it appear to our mind so real, but again, that object do not exist as real as it appear to us, as concrete, as solid as it appear to our mind. That is not how things really exist. Therefore, again, it's like illusions, like a dream, like the image in the lake. So we try to remind ourselves like that. And same with the object of attachments, the feeling itself and the object of attachments. Again, we try to, because to us, it doesn't appear the feeling itself or the object as like an illusion, like a dream, but it feels so real, so real. And so again, reminding ourselves, and so that is how we train our mind to meditate and look at all experience, all situations, all the phenomena, all the objects as like a dream, like a dream state, like an illusion, like. And when we see that, then we see relative truth, relative truth, because, even though things do not exist as real as it appear to our mind, but due to certain cause and condition, due to certain factors, things exist and their functions, and their effect, that one, we cannot deny that, right? So therefore even though there is no truly existent, inherently existent, but there is something by coming together of many conditions, many factors. It has certain functioning and certain result, And so again, so then we don't fall into the nihilism after the meditations on space like emptiness. Then there's a danger of falling in the nihilism if you don't understand fully. So then when we meditate on illusion like emptiness, then, it helps us to, not to fall in that stream, but see, just like a dreams, of course, in the dream, you see someone trying to hurt you, help you, when you wake up, it feels like, there is someone who is trying to hurt you. But then you realize it's just a dream. Then you realize it is just a dream. So there is no real person who is trying to hurt you because it's just a dream. But still, that dream does have certain effect. That dream has certain functioning and certain effect. And that dream is there by many cause and condition coming together. It produced that dream, So while there is the dream, but there is no persons, real persons that you saw in the dream who is trying to hurt you. But still there's the dream. And that dream has certain effect. And dream, by those many conditions coming to there's the dream. And it's the same with illusions, Maybe the magicians, produce some kind of illusions with his trick and everything. Even though there is no real objects at that being tricked, there is no real object what he was being tricked, but still, due to many cause, conditions, factors, he created something. He created something that can have a different effect on what he created. So you cannot kind of deny that, same. So therefore, it is there. Same with the reflections of the moon, even though there's no real moon, in the lake, but still, there is a reflections due to many cause and conditions. There's a reflection, and that reflections also has certain functioning, and that reflection can have a different result, for different beings. And so therefore, with that realization, then we don't deny, there's nothing, there's nothing, but there is something. And the way things exist is by coming together of many conditions, many factors together, then there's appearance of that object, and due to that appearance, then it affects differently, and it functions differently. And so, so when you see that, then you see the conventional reality, and then you see with a space like emptiness, you see the ultimate reality, and with a conventional, illusion like emptiness, then you begin to understand the relative reality, and then you see how those two reality, complement and help each others, to find the middle way, and by not falling in one at the extreme, and finding the middle way, and that is the key to find the middle way. So maybe we can go the next verses, maybe. And I think I just mentioned that, So next verse 108, training the mind particularly in a profound middle way. And so that is where, that not falling in one of the extremes. So samsara nirvana, like even an atom of inherent existence, Not only samsara and samsara experience do not have inherent existence, even the goal, the ultimate goal, the nirvana, is also empty of inherent existence. Not only the problem is empty of inherent existence, even the solutions is the empty of inherent existence. Not only the object of abandoning, the object to be negate, the object to be abandoned and purify and cleanse, not only that object is empty of inherent existence, even the object that is to be practiced, that is to be cultivated, that is to be actualized, even that object is also empty of inherent existence. And the cause and effect and dependent arising unbetrayed. While everything is both samsara, nirvana, everything is empty of inherent existence, at the same time, they all function due to certain cause and conditions. Due to the cause and condition, due to the dependent arising, they all function and they all have a different result, due to the, samsara, the result is suffering. The nirvana, due to the nirvana, the result is true lasting happiness, peace. Even though both samsara and nirvana lack or are empty of truly existing, at the same time, due to cause and condition coming together, they produce different results. And that is unbetraying. So therefore, because they both are empty of inherent existence, doesn't mean they all are same and produce same result. Samsara produce suffering. Nirvana produce happiness, even though they both of them are empty of inherent existence. Because they both are dependent arising, and because of certain factors, cause and conditions, so it produce a different result. And that kind of certain particular cause and condition producing certain particular result is unbetrayable. It is the fact. And those two facts in reality do not contradict each other, but instead they support each other. And when you understand both of them, then that is when you find the middle way. I seek your blessing to discern the meaning of Nagarjuna thoughts. That those two, so that those two truth, ultimate and conventional truth, so are mutually complementary and not contradictory, And so when you understand that, the more deeper understanding or emptiness, the more deeper you have convictions in karma, law of cause and effect. When you don't understand that, then there is a danger. When you there is a danger when you meditate on emptiness, then you completely kind of reject the law of cause and effect, karma, feeling there is no karma, there's no law of cause and effect. But on the other hand, when you have found a middle way, when you have correct realization of emptiness, the more stronger realization of emptiness, the more profound understanding of emptiness, the more stronger convictions you have in karma, law of cause and effect. Also, on the other way, the more stronger conviction you have in law of cause and effect, the karma, the more stronger you have understanding that will lead to understanding the middle way of emptiness. So understanding of law of cause, the more stronger convictions you have on karma, the more you understand dependent arising. The more you understand dependent arising, the more you understand nothing exists inherently, independently. So dependent, through understanding of karma, it helps you to understand dependent arising. Through the understanding of dependent arising, it helps you to understand the emptiness better. Through the understanding of emptiness, it helps you to understand or have a stronger conviction in love, cause, and effect, the karma. So I think maybe today I will kind of conclude here. Maybe there might be a couple of questions.
I have a question, Geshe.
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, the concept of emptiness applies to people as well, and also our memories. So the people in our life, our parents, friends, whoever, they're all illusions. And the memories that we have with them, are they all just mental constructs? They are illusion as well. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes. All as it says, all external, internal phenomena. Internal phenomena, it can be the sentient beings and their mind. So that include, your memory is part of your mental factors, so part of your mind, and all of them are like illusions. All of them do not have, inherent existence. None of them are, are able to exist by itself without depending on many other factors, as well as external phenomena. Everything that we experience, see, and everything hear, everything that they all also are empty of inherent existence. They're all also like illusions. They all cannot exist by itself, but due to many cause and conditions, due to many factors coming together, there's an appearance, and that appearance has certain effect. And those different objects, the appearance also have certain different functioning of them, those different objects. And so therefore everything's like illusion. So then, reminding ourselves, even those memories, whether good or bad memories, of ourselves or memories of others, even though it feels so real to us at the moment when we feel about them, whether it's a good memory, whether it's a bad memory, it feels so real and so real. But again, that's how we feel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's as real as it feels. And so when you really analyze, there's no real memory that can exist by itself, but it is only, many different factors coming together, that produce that appearance and that feelings, but it do not exist as it appear to our mind, or as it feel to our mind, or it feel to ourselves as so real and inherent existence. But still there is a functioning of that, therefore, there's appearance of that, therefore it's like an illusion, it's like a dream. There's something, but it's not the way it appears to our mind. It's not the way the way we feel about it. And so that can be, we can apply that to both the mind, the memory itself, as well as the objects of those memories, the persons and everything. Okay. So I think there is a couple of questions here. Does the sense of discomfort feel like suffering? Again, it depends on how you use the word suffering. The way we use in Buddhism, suffering doesn't mean, kind of really pain. Pain is one type of suffering, but not all the suffering are. The way we use the suffering is that not all the suffering are pain. So, so definitely, discomfort will be definitely part of some suffering, but it doesn't necessarily mean, really pain, it's just a little bit uncomfortable, discomfort. And that doesn't necessarily really mean pain, but definitely is from Buddhist point of view, the way we use the suffering, then definitely it's a suffering. Yeah. But maybe it's not a suffering in the way that people use normally, because if they relate that suffering as pain, then it's not necessarily pain, it's discomfort itself, not necessarily pain. It's also dissatisfaction, for dissatisfaction is not necessarily pain, but it's a suffering, okay, so, and then feeling like attachment or obsessive thought, anger, invades others to keep samsara intact. Yeah, because of them, then we get caught up in samsara and tied up in samsara. So the only way to release ourselves from the samsara, or free ourselves from samsara, is to release from those negative emotions or athletic emotions, to get rid of them. So yeah.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
It feels like just the only thing I can do at this point is recognize that the obsessive thinking, that there's something under it. It feels like I'm hiding something. And what you just explained today is I'm probably holding on to samsara. I'm aware I'm doing it, but I can stop it by saying, what's underneath all this? Doesn't feel productive to continue to think those thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are many different ways of dealing that. As you mentioned, one is just being aware of that and not allowing to entertain that thought too much. Catch it and then just not entertaining that obsessive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That is one technique. But then if you want to go more deeper, then the cause, from the Buddhist point of view, the cause of that obsessive thought is our fundamental ignorance. So in order to stop that kind of obsessive thought, we have to overcome the very root of those thoughts, that is the fundamental ignorance. And and to overcome that fundamental ignorance, then of course, then we need to have the wisdom realizing the emptiness, and that emptiness. And so that is why it becomes the key for that. Yeah, obsessive or addictions. We can be addicted to many things. Not just substance. Even feelings, even thoughts, ideas, concepts, and again, all of them are part of strong, kind of obsessive or attachment addictions. And again, they all are rooted in that fundamental ignorance on believing the object to be inherently existence, on the basis of that, holding on to that. And sometimes maybe it might be more difficult for us to identify because it is more subtle. Sometimes it is more easy to identify it. It's more gross. When it's gross, it's more easy to identify. So sometimes it's much more subtle. Then it becomes more difficult to identify it. But definitely it is the case. Okay. Okay, so then, yeah. So we can do the dedications. Or is there any questions? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that is it. So dedications, yeah. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and the mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or even fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depressions. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sound. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored, finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drink. May the poor find wealth, those who with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightening cease to be afraid, those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much, everyone. And I think we have two more class, and I think in terms of the lamrim verses, we are just coming to an end. So it just seems to be just finishing in right time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.